Hello and welcome back to the Spontaneous Brilliance podcast. I'm so glad you're here, and I have thought of a new topic for this podcast today. We've been spending a lot of time focusing on how we can deep dive into our performance of our role here on the great stage of life, and a deep dive into our own brilliance and unique creative genius. But in acting as in life, this is a collaborative art form. We are here in a mass collaboration on the great stage of life. Theater is a collaborative art form, and as Cyril Cusack said, one's performance is often heightened by the brilliance and generosity of other actors. In short, you can't do this alone. In theater, there is no such thing as a truly solo performance. I mean, think about it. If an actor is standing on a stage by themselves doing a one-person show, somebody still turned on the lights. Somebody still opened the doors. Somebody still sold the tickets. Somebody still did all those other things, right? Made the costumes, helped with the makeup, etc., etc., etc. So it's important that we realize that everyone in our production that we have created here on the great stage of life, everyone has a role to play. As Jane Goodall said, every individual matters. Every individual has a role to play. Every individual makes a difference. Now that's perfect. That pretty much says it all. But we get so wrapped up in trying to figure out how we're gonna perform on the great stage of life that we forget that we are also responsible for how we support and help and bolster and acknowledge everyone else's role here too. So I think it's time that we take a look at how we approach the other people in our production. Remember that the fundamental premise of my work and the book Spontaneous Brilliance and this podcast is that each and every human on the planet is a unique creative genius, you included, but not just you, everyone. The thing is that with as much time as we've spent discussing how brilliant you are and how brilliant each of us is, and how important it is to share our brilliance, we really haven't yet discussed just how brilliant and unique a creative genius everyone else is. And I mean everyone else. We've been learning to consider our own thoughts and our own feelings and our own ideas and our own imaginings and passions as not good or bad, but super important and worthwhile and valuable and bursting with all kinds of incredible potential. But we also have to remember, so are everyone else's ideas and imaginings and creative potentials just as extraordinary, just as exceptional, just as unique, just as important. Mahatma Gandhi said, if we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As a man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do. And so, as we're wanting our world to be better, or we're wanting us to be better, or wanting the people around us to be better, we need to start approaching one another as this whole incredible planet full of unique creative geniuses, and not looking to figure out what somebody's genius is. That's really not our issue. Our issue is to trust that they have it. Right? We have to trust that when we look at another human being, they are as precious and as purposeful and as vulnerable and as creative and as brilliant and as scared as we are. We're all in this together. The theater and life are collaborative art forms. So suppose that we walk into every single room knowing that every person we see is brilliant at something. They're brilliant at their thing. They're brilliant in their way. And suppose that we presume it to be part of our job as another human being sharing this planet, that we help them to share that brilliance. This is your production. Your life is your production. And so, if they are in your life, if they're in your scene, they are a valuable character on the great stage of life for your production. Whether they have one line in this production or 2,000 lines in this production, they are important to the story in the moment. Assuming the brilliance of everybody else here on the planet, even if we can't see it or figure it out, assuming that they have that unique creative genius, they have that brilliance, and they need to be helped to share it. That helps us to recognize that this production of ours on the great stage of life is perfectly cast. They are perfectly cast in their own role with a passion and a purpose in their life, as profound as any that we might have for ourselves. In order to share the great stage of life with compassion and with clarity, we have to see our other fellow players through a prism of possibility rather than the prism of limitation. And I just used two cool C words there, compassion and clarity. We need to be working with compassion and clarity in order to help our fellow collaborators, there's another great C word, on the great stage of life. We need to be functioning with compassion and clarity in order to collaborate with our fellow players on the great stage of life. I have several words that I like to refer to as the bad C words, and they're not the one you're thinking of. I'm going to tell you a little story about the bad C word, just to get your attention. Once upon a time when my oldest daughter, Shelley, who is also someone that we refer to as the teaching toddler because she has basically been in theater since she was a babe. She is now not a babe and in her 30s, but when she was about 10, she was sitting in a room that was populated, all except for her, with adults. And it was all of the adults in the New Heritage Theater Company, which was a professional repertory company that I was the artistic director of at the time. And we were all at my house in the family room and sitting around, and Shelley was sitting right there with all of the adults. And we were talking about language. I don't remember what the context of the conversation was in its entirety, but Shelley chimed in at one point and said, "Oh yeah, Mom gets so upset when I say the bad C word." And the whole room just froze. All of these adults just sucked the air right out of the room because they couldn't believe what she had just said. And I enjoyed their dilemma for a moment, and then I just said, "Honey, tell them what the bad C word is." And she goes, "Well, crap." I was like, yeah, it's all a matter of perspective, how you see the C words. But I'm going to tell you what my 4 bad C words are. They are comparison, conformity, compromise, and competition. These 4 words comprise such a dangerous cluster of misleading concepts. They're all a product of what I would refer to as monkey philosophy, right? I've talked about the well-meaning monkeys that think that the fish is defective because it can't climb a tree, right? Well, these monkey concepts are dangerous because they collectively drown out and minimize the importance of the best C words: collaboration, cooperation, compassion, and creativity. And I recognize that some of the words may not seem to be belonging on a dangerous list as far as you're concerned, but let me just talk about them for a second and see if we don't come to a place of at least being able to see the possibility of these words and their danger. First is comparison. It would be a terribly short-sighted actor that wanted to get on the stage only with actors that were less talented, less skilled than they were. If you think about it, a massively talented actor in a Broadway show wants to be cast in a show with equally talented, skilled actors, because then when they collaborate, they are enhancing each other's performance, right? But comparison, if you are comparing and you're hoping that somebody is less than you so you can shine better, that's more likely to diminish and even destroy any hope for collaboration. Because even if that person is as brilliant as you are at the thing that you're trying to collaborate with them on in that moment, you're going to be hoping that they're not, because you are comparing yourself to them and trying to see yourself in comparison to them. And if you want an end result that makes you look better than them, then you've already killed it before you've begun. Comparison can be useful when you are picking a car or you're picking out something on a menu. But comparing ourselves or our performance on the great stage of life to another person requires us to choose either ourselves or the other person as being less in some way. Remember that part of our journey is to learn to expect and respect the unique creative genius in ourselves and all those around us. To expect it and respect it, not to decide which one of us has more or less than the other. No genius is better than another's because each genius is unique. And let's remember how unique is defined, okay? Okay, I'm gonna look to Merriam-Webster here. Unique is defined as being the only one, sole, being without a like or equal, unequaled, distinctively characteristic, peculiar, able to be distinguished from all others of its class or type, distinct. Unequaled, sole, peculiar, distinct. Why would we want to be other than that? And I know I have said to you before that there is no why, but I'm asking why on purpose here because the answer to the why is another C word. The reason why we might want to not be peculiar or distinct or sole or unequaled is because we are really busy sometimes camouflaging. That's that other C word. We are hiding from enemy fire, right? The protective personality is out there doing its dangdest to keep us from showing up and sticking our head too far out of the foxhole so that we don't get shot. We don't stand out. We don't show ourselves to be out of the ordinary. That's how we protect ourselves. But there's just one problem with that. Nobody intentionally steps onto a stage so that they won't be seen. And we all stepped onto this stage, the great stage of life. We all stepped here intentionally. We came here with an intention. We came here with a purpose. We came here on purpose. And so we did not come here not to be seen, not to be noticed, not to stand out. Quite the opposite. The more we honor and explore and enjoy the unique wonder of every single human being on the planet, the less comparison will ever occur to us, because nobody else is a threat to us if we're not comparing ourselves to them. Their genius, their brilliance, their successes, their wonder isn't threatening ours if we don't have a perspective of lack, if we don't think that if they get some, we won't get it. We'll get ours, but we need to also allow them theirs. Look for the genius, look for the beauty, look for the wonder in others and compliment it, promote it. There's nothing to compare yourself to. There's no one else who is comparable to you. You were cast in your role on this planet, and you are better at being you than anybody else. And so is everybody else also better at being them than anybody else. That's our only job. That's our only role, to play the one that we are cast in, not to compare ourselves to the other roles. Next word, next bad C word is conformity. This is not what we are here for either. I think I made that clear just a second ago, but just as camouflaging is not what we are here for, we are not here to conform, because conforming results from having been compared to the accepted norm and then having been found lacking in some way. So conforming is a very, very monkey-like concept. You're either too much or you're too little. You're either a lion with too big of a roar or a fish who's unable to climb a tree. And so the well-meaning monkeys are trying to help you fit in, and they ask you to somehow show up the right way. And the right way isn't your way. There is no right way to show up on the planet except to show up as authentically as you possibly can. And you're not going to find what you are from the outside, from somebody's outside perspective of you. You're going to find it inside. You're going to find what you feel you need to be, do, and share. And if we stop looking at what we are in comparison to somebody else or how we can conform to the norm, and we just look inside for what it is we need to share, then we will find our unique creative genius. And if we approach everyone else in the same way, that we're not embarrassed by them because they don't conform. We're not shocked by them because they don't conform. We're looking with wonder and curiosity to see what genius they have to share with us. Basically, conforming is the anti-spontaneous brilliance version of life. I mean, conforming can sometimes be confused with maturing. Let's look at that in terms of an actor. I mean, a mature actor, a skilled actor with lots of experience behind them and lots of maturity as an actor, they are more able to express themselves, not less. Maturing does not result in less creativity. It doesn't result in less creative expression. It doesn't result in less expressing of you. But when we mistakenly think that conforming is what shows our maturity, then we start to think of ourselves as being better when we're somebody who doesn't rock the boat, who doesn't question, who doesn't take risks, and does not really contribute anything new, because that might throw things off. But then we're actually sacrificing our unique creative genius on the altar of the norm. We are blocking ourselves from showing up as what we came here to be, do, and share because we've bought into the idea of conforming to the norm being more convenient for the people around us. And so as parents, as teachers, as partners, let's think about that the next time we're trying to straighten somebody who looks up to us or defers to us. The next time we are trying to get them to conform, to form the whole we would like them to stay in because it's convenient, because it makes sense, because it helps everything run smoothly, because it doesn't interrupt what we thought we were going to do in that moment. The next time that that's our impulse to do, let's stop for a second and see if we can honor their expression, collaborate with it, view it as important. Give it a try. See where that takes you. Okay, now I'm going to take you to the next C word. And this one, I'm betting a whole bunch of you out there think is not a dangerous word. Like, it can't be. We're taught to pursue it as a goal. And that word is compromise. We're told that healthy relationships, healthy situations involve compromise. And yeah, not really. I mean, and that's not me blocking. It might look like me blocking, but yeah, no. Compromise is by definition a situation where conflict is resolved by each side giving up something in order to move forward. And we've been taught somehow that that's noble, that there is nobility in sacrificing something in the name of compromise. But what if the something we give up is an important piece of us? What if we are actually blocking an offer that we fully intended to come here to share with the world? Healthy relationships are about compassion and collaboration and improvisation and being totally present with the other player. We are here to listen and to respond and to offer and accept and not block and find the love. But we're not here to sacrifice our love, our offers, on the altar of some sort of watered down compromise. Compromise, we are told, is how we get to a harmonious situation. But I'm going to say compromise rarely causes harmony. It just ceases open hostility. There's a difference. The underlying frustration is still going to be there because the offering and accepting process in a compromise has been purposefully curtailed. We purposefully start holding back our offers and we start accepting non-offers, like repeated offers, in order to get to the compromise. But compassion and collaboration and cooperation are the true paths to solutions that don't cause anyone frustration or pain because of what they gave up. Think about that the next time that you are compromising. The next time you think that you're doing your scene partner a favor by giving up what you want to offer, not offering, accepting their offer and stopping rather than going forward. The next time that you think that that is how you're going to help them or how you're going to help yourself find harmony and peace and compassion and understanding, it's really not. And that brings me to a word that is a C word that most people think of as a bad C word, but it's not. And that's conflict. We think that compromise is the way to resolve a conflict. But two conflicting things cause us to start making offers to think about how to bring those two conflicting things into harmony. That's what inspires us. Conflict, obstacles, that's what makes an interesting production to put on the stage. You're looking for the conflict. It's what we build on. It's an invitation to offer and to accept until a solution is discovered. If we block till a compromise is reached, then we are way off the mark from true harmony. If we have a conflict, we need to offer and accept and continue that process until the solution is discovered. Don't be afraid of conflict. Just be afraid of blocking. Well, actually, okay, let me rephrase that. Don't be afraid of anything. Don't be afraid of it. Just empower yourself to approach it voluntarily from the best way that you can. And that is by offering the best you have to offer in every moment into that situation. Here's my final bad C word: competition. There is a huge mythology around humanity that suggests that this is a competitive world, that it's a competitive society, and we're in competition for everything. And it's set forward this really ugly myth that nature is based on competition. Like how we've come to view the phrase survival of the fittest as though it's an explanation for doing really horrible things to one another. There is nothing natural about competition. Nature is cooperative. Competition is not the fundamental basis of nature. Doesn't mean there isn't struggle. It doesn't mean there isn't conflict in nature. But nature is, by its very nature, if you will, cooperative. We know that because all the world's a stage, and the fastest way to destroy a production is to have the players competing with one another. A successful performance on the stage and on the great stage of life requires cooperation. Competition, my friends, is nothing but structured blocking. Because in a competition, if somebody is winning, then that same somebody is stopping the somebody that's losing from getting to the goal. We've started to see these videos where we are amazed when somebody finishes a race even though they know they've lost, or like they've fallen and they've ended up not being able to finish the race, and then their colleagues stop. The people running alongside them stop and pick that person up and carry them across the finish line. All of us get all weepy and sentimental when we see that. We're all struck by it. It's amazing. Those are the inspirational videos that are out there everywhere, right? Why? Because it's the ultimate collaboration and cooperation and compassion, replacing the nature of what we all thought started out as a competition. The thing that brings us joy and harmony and beauty in our lives, the thing that gets us all elevated to a higher place on the great stage of life, is when we collaborate and we cooperate and we show compassion and we make sure that everybody gets to the finish line. That's what truly makes us happy. If we continue as a society competing our butts off like we are doing now, that's not going to end well. We do best when we collaborate, when we cooperate, and when we, most importantly, bring compassion to the table in every interaction. Let's think about this. What are we here for? We're not here to compete. We are here to share. Seriously. We're not here to compare ourselves to others. We're here to learn to value and nurture the brilliance in ourselves and in all those around us. We're not here to compromise our genius, our vision, our dreams. We're here to collaborate and cooperate with the genius of others so that we can all build a glorious, beautiful, bright, amazing future. And we are certainly not here to conform. We're here to shine alongside every other player on the great stage of life. We're here to share this experience. Let's try to remember that at the end of the day, it still comes down to this. Mark 12:31, love your neighbor as yourself. Collaborate with them, cooperate with them, show them compassion, and most importantly, know that they have a unique creative genius, a passion, and a purpose they came here to share. Treat them that way. Let's try to cut everyone, and I mean absolutely everyone, the same kind of slack we would want to be cut to us, right? When we are at our most difficult, that's when we need somebody to show us compassion, to collaborate with us, to cooperate with us. That is not when we need them to be comparing themselves to us and telling us how much better they are, or how that's not a problem for them, what's causing us to melt down in a puddle in the corner, right? That is not helping. So if we don't want it done to us, let's not do it unto the others. We're here together at this time, in this situation, for a reason. And we are here in a situation where we cannot do this by ourselves. If you actually got rid of all the people who are a pain in the tushy on this planet, the rest of us might be a little bored. We're not going to get along with everybody. We're not going to find everybody easy. But when someone gets cast in a play, nobody checks first to make sure that everyone in the cast is going to like everybody else. But you still have to depend on each other. You have to find a way to work together. Even if the people you're cast with are not the same people you would hang out with by choice, you've still got to do that if you're cast in a play together. So you still got to do it here, cast in this circumstance on the great stage of life. You may not like the other characters in this production that is your life, but if you come at it from a soul perspective, then they are just like you. They're a soul that came here to play a character, and they're doing their level best to understand and manage their own relationship with themselves. And you have an advantage because you understand what they are going through on a metaphorical level. You know that this is a collaborative space. Embrace them all. They're all on a journey of their own making, just like you are. You are in their production just like they are in yours. So be kind to your fellow players. Okay, I'm going to leave you with one last quote from Wayne Dyer. He says, "Your life is like a play with several acts. Some of the characters who enter have short roles to play, others much larger. Some are villains and others are the good guys, but all of them are necessary. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the play. Embrace them all and move on to the next act." Okay there, my friends. That's it for today. That's all my meanderings about the collaborative art form that we are here in right now. So, that having been said, remember that this podcast too is soon to become a collaboration. And I want you guys to come here and collaborate with me in the Spontaneous Brilliance podcast. And you can do that by emailing us at podcast@spontaneousbrilliance.com. podcast@spontaneousbrilliance.com. You can email us something that you want to talk about, something that you've heard that you want to have a discussion more about, or something that this sparked in you, made you think of something, and you really, really, really want to talk about it. Because we are knowing that you are brilliant and you have something you can share too. So come on, get on here and start sharing with me. We're going to start that in about another month from now. So that gives you time to reach out to us and us to get you booked on the show. So, all right, my friends, thank you so much for listening. Appreciate you listening all the way to the end. And I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now.